All right, everyone, we're here at the AI4 conference. I have Tim here with me. Tim, welcome to the Ravit Show. You're the CTO at Hyland. I'm super excited to chat a lot of things that we can actually get into, but specifically for this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about AI agents, digital transformation, and much more.
Yeah.
So let's get started.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So I know I've heard a lot of, obviously Highland leadership talking and telling us a little bit about, how digital transformation is over. But what does that mean? I'm kind of curious to know from you.
It's a combination of over in terms of not being enough, and I also view in a lot of ways digital transformation being incomplete, insufficient and incomplete.
Okay.
And that's where things like enterprise content management systems and specifically AI-enabled enterprise content management systems can add a ton of value.
Okay.
When you hear digital transformation, you might think that, okay, everything that I have in my enterprise is no longer paper-based, or that it's turned into structured data, or it's turned into something I've searched.
Yep.
Well, 80% of data in the enterprise is still unstructured. And it's not searchable, it's in images, it's in PDFs. So that notion of digital transformation, getting your data in a PDF, getting your data in images, getting your data in a repository, being enough to modernize your business, that's where the notion that digital transformation is dead comes from. You need a lot more than that.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty interesting and great points there, Tim. So thanks for sharing that. I'm kind of also curious how do, AI agents, because AI agents, we've been hearing so much about it. The whole year I've been, learning that from enterprise leaders because they've been kind of, also implementing it. But how do AI agents change the way businesses approach transformation?
Yeah. Well, there'll be multiple steps along this journey, right? I mean, there are kind of simple, transactional agents that we start with.
Yep.
What I'm really excited about in the context of that next step beyond digital transformation is where we can start using agents to provide context engineering at scale for our large language models.
Yep.
So taking all that unstructured data that typically is not used inside of an agentic workflow or AI workflow at a large enterprise. So you might use a model off the shelf that's trained from public data.
Yep.
And context that's inputted by a human, prompt engineering, even RAG, it really isn't enough. We need true context engineering at scale,
Right.
driven by enterprise agents that are constantly pulling data from information specific to your enterprise.
Love
It means
it.
something to you about how you run your business.
Right,
And that's how
exactly.
we say AI really moving the needle and creating competitive differentiation at an enterprise that does implementation the right way.
I think yes, definitely. Context engineering is definitely the king. In it kind of helps like a lot of enterprises to, get aligned with the thought process and how they want to work. So that's very right. But thanks for sharing that. I have a curious question for you. Why isn't cloud migration alone enough to achieve the transformation? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Cloud migration's an important part of the story and often a starting point for a lot of enterprises. Easier access to the ecosystem of tools that are important to building an agentic workflow or
Right.
accessing an LLM. But frankly, in some enterprise use cases, we find not only is it not enough, but it becomes a limiter in terms of security and privacy controls. There are a lot of enterprises that we're working with that want a hybrid architecture,
Right.
that want
Right.
some of their data to remain on-prem. They may be okay with vectorized data in the cloud,
So true.
but they may want to keep kind of their more unstructured raw data on-prem. So the Hyland strategy is to let customers leave data where it is.
Nice.
Content federation strategy, whether it's in a Hyland repo or whether it's in a third-party repo.
Nice one.
We don't want
Yeah.
customers to have to migrate everything to the cloud to get value out of AI.
Which is a great value for the customers as well because they don't have to have like more cost that goes into the cloud that they have to play.
That's the other thing that happens to a lot of enterprises, right? I mean, costs quickly become out of control
Yeah.
as they move to cloud without developing the efficiency required in porting
Exactly.
the application. Yeah.
That's so true. Okay, fantastic. These are great points, and now I kind of understand the cloud migration theme as well. One more question around the agentic transformation.
Yeah.
So, what does this agentic transformation look like in practice, and how are customers benefiting out of it?
So it's early days,
Yeah.
but we are seeing customers already for business process automation applications in the healthcare space for things like ingestion of patient documents when somebody checks in.
Right.
In the financial services space, getting all the information you need for fraud detection workflow.
Right.
Those humans in the loop in operations that require document processing are becoming so much more efficient with task-based automation, task-based agents, intelligent documenting processing to kind of fill gaps and turn that unstructured data into structured data you can take action on.
Right.
It's already changing workflows dramatically, and it's just going to increase over time.
Nice. This is fantastic. One last question for you, Tim. If people want to learn more about this, do you all have resources? Do you all have a page where they can visit? Maybe on the website?
Find out a lot more on Hyland.com.
Okay.
Shoot me a note on LinkedIn.
Nice.
We post a lot on YouTube, all the social media accounts. Yeah, come find us and we're happy to chat.
Love it. Thanks for sharing all the great insights, Tim. Such a pleasure hosting you on the Ravit Show.
Thank you, Ravit.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.